welcome to the new series of Drishti IAS. I am Pooja, and in this segment today we are going to discuss about the key features of Quad Summit 2022. This is of utmost importance from the perspective of prelims and from the mains also. Mains perspective, GS mains paper 2 and 3, it's of importance. Why? Because first of all, because of the war in Europe. America is very invested in Europe right now, but it is still investing its attention into the Indo-Pacific. So let's begin with the news now. Quad Summit 2022 has happened, and this was an in-person summit, and that is why it was very important. Before this, virtual summits were taking place because of the COVID-19 pandemic. What is Quad? Quad is an informal grouping consisting of 4 countries of India, USA, Japan, and Australia. And this particular quadrilateral security dialogue is although dealing with security, but it has moved beyond security in the current summit. We will know why. And this particular grouping, what do we have to keep in mind over here? First of all, it is not an institution. It is an informal grouping. It's not formal. Okay. And remember the names of the countries. And it basically started with the Malabar exercise back in the 1992, when Malabar exercise started to happen between India and the USA. And after that, many countries such as Japan, after that Australia, after apprehensions about joining Malabar exercise, and this is kind of an informal grouping after that. So if we talk about the Quad Summit 2022, certain important key points are here. First of all, peace and stability was discussed at large, and conflict in Ukraine was discussed, and many countries were equivocal with respect to how do we have to take care of such problems. First of all, international law should be followed, including the UN Charter, and respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity of all states should be there, and that should be, of course, relying on peaceful resolution. Peaceful resolution and diplomacy was something that everybody reiterated upon. And of course, free and open Indo-Pacific in the region. That means the Indo-Pacific region is of extreme importance from the perspective of economic trade and strategic theatrics of flexing the muscles for China and countries like USA, Australia, and everyone else that is interested in the Indo-Pacific. So free and open Indo-Pacific, that should every country that is the littoral and the other countries as well should be able to provide their service that is on the rules-based order. This was, although China was not mentioned, but of course it is pointing towards China. ASEAN unity and centrality was kept in mind with respect to this. Now, ASEAN is a grouping, very important grouping of Southeast Asian nations consisting of Brunei, Myanmar, Cambodia, Philippines, Indonesia, Singapore, Laos, Thailand, Malaysia, and Vietnam. So this grouping is of extreme importance, but the problem is here that this grouping, that is the ASEAN grouping, wants a lot of coordination and cooperation with China when it comes to the region of South China Sea and Indo-Pacific. So this is something that we have to see, that if US will be responsive to all this. EU's joint communication on EU strategy for cooperation in Indo-Pacific, it was announced in September 2021, and this has been premised. This entire comprehensive framework has been premised upon economic stability and security of the region. UN Convention on Laws of the Seas should be followed, and this was of course with respect to East and South China Sea, which is hotly contested between the littoral states of every region. We have discussed a lot about South China Sea, Indo-Pacific in many of our new series. You can go and watch that. Okay, moving on. If we talk about the other facets, denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, and there was also a condemnation by the countries of Quad with respect to North Korea's continuous testing of ballistic missiles. Myanmar's problem was also discussed, and they said that ASEAN 5-point consensus with respect to Myanmar should be implemented as fast as possible. And also, very interestingly, terrorism was discussed, in which 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks and Pathankot attacks were specifically pointed at. Also, they asked the implementation of UNSC resolution of 2593/2021, in which it was said that Afghanistan, which has been the power where has been usurped by the Taliban will not let the soil of Afghanistan to be used for attacks on any of the allies of the US and other countries. So anti-money laundering, combating the financing of terrorism by all countries, which is consistent with the Financial Exchange Task Force recommendation should also be followed, and also UNSC resolution 1267 was premised upon What is this? You have to tell me in the comment segment. Moving on. Now, if we talk about COVID-19 and health, the Quad partners have collectively pledged approximately USD 5.2 billion to the COVAX AMC, of which 40% will be done by the government funding. And 670 million doses have been given into the world by the Quad countries, of which 265 million have been given to the Indo-Pacific region under Quad vaccine partnership. Under this only, the expansion of Johnson & Johnson vaccine manufacturing facility has been developed in India by the name of Biological E facility in India. So if prelims question comes like this, you have to answer it correctly. $2 billion have been galvanized for helping the member countries to fight COVID-19, and that is more than 115 countries have been a part of it. The member countries plus other 115 countries. COVID-19 prioritized Global Action Plan for enhanced engagement and COVAX vaccine delivery partnership has also been helped with, and $524 million is to be given in the next phase of CEPI's work. That is 50% of the total has to become from public investors. So lot of government money with the help of Quad is going. Now, infrastructure, if we talk about $50 billion of infrastructure assistance and investment will be given to the Indo-Pacific in the next 5 years. So here the corpus amount is important and also the time period, 5 years. The G20 common framework, debt stability, that means whichever countries have come under debt because of COVID-19, those also will be released with the help of this sustainability program. And a Quad debt management resource portal has been launched in this particular summit. It will consist of two parameters, multiple bilateral and multilateral capacity building. So bilateral and multilateral capacity building both will be taken care of with the help of this debt management program. Now, because of Sri Lankan crisis, it was of course premised upon that only, that Sri Lanka needed money and it took the help of economic intruder China. So many countries are there that can come and help countries such as Sri Lanka to develop infrastructure without giving them this trap, right? And the Paris, with respect to climate change, the Paris Agreement and the outcomes of the COP26 that happened in Glasgow was also discussed. And Quad climate change adaptation and mitigation package, that is 𝐾𝐞, it has been launched. Quad climate working grouping has also been developed, which has these many aims. Green shipping is there, port aiming for a shared green corridor framework building, and clean energy cooperation, clean hydrogen and methane emissions from the natural gas sector, strengthening clean energy supply chain and welcoming the contribution of Sydney Energy Forum. Climate information services for developing an engagement strategy with Pacific Island countries. Then cooperation will be given in fuel ammonia and carbon capture and utilization. Everything will be dealt with the help of this portal. Capacity building and Article 6. Under Article 6 of the Paris Agreement, we have these particular tidbits, that is CCUS, carbon recycling, cooperation and capacity building support, advanced high integrity carbon markets. So everything, you can see how comprehensive this summit was. It moved beyond China. And Australia has legislated to made a law with respect to achieve net zero emissions by 2050, and also launching a new nationally determined contributions that we do under the Paris Agreement. Moving on, yes, one thing to be kept in mind, that the next in-person Quad summit will be held in Australia. Remember that. So cyber security, we have to, according to the Quad, we have to improve the defense of the nation's critical important assets. And for that, Quad cyber security partnership has been launched, and the first ever Quad cyber security day will also be celebrated. So these are certain facts about prelims. Now, critical and emerging technologies, we have to look forward for the launching of 5G in the members of Quad, along with proposals on telecommunications suppliers deliver. A new memorandum of cooperation has also been launched on 5G suppliers diversification, Open RAN track 1.5 dialogue. The common statement of principle on critical technology supply chains has also been launched, and this will advance the cooperation in the field of semiconductors, which is very important in the arena of digital management, and enhancing resilience against various risks to the region. If there is any war with respect to trade war or any other crisis, or war between China and Taiwan, this will help us in getting through that. Moving on, if we talk about the new international standards cooperation network, this has also been launched in this Quad Summit. Now, let's see Quad Fellowship. Here, it will bring 100 students from the countries of Quad in the United States each year to have graduate degrees in the science, technology field, engineering field. So, STEM field will also be there, and then it will be administered by Smith Future. Okay, and the first batch of the student will go in the third quarter of 2023. You have to remember that. Okay, moving on, in space also, Quad Satellite Data Portal has been launched, in which there will be aggregates. The aggregates will come by linking the respective national satellite data resources. So whatever data resources that we have got through our own satellite system, that will be integrated here. Okay, moving on, if we talk about the next thing, that is Maritime Domain Awareness and HADR, the Indo-Pacific Partnership for Maritime Domain Awareness, it will have a link with the regional partners, whatever the regional partners are present, with humanitarian and natural cause disasters and combat illegal fishing. All these factors will be taken care of. Then establishment of the Quad Partnership on Humanitarian Assistance and Disaster Relief. This has also been developed for the Indo-Pacific. Now, these are the many facets. Now, what are the challenges? First of all, there is a lot of distraction of the US with Europe right now. Europe is a region that has been very well aware, that has been very well, experienced with the US. If we talk about Indo-Pacific, Indo-Pacific is a new region for US to invest in. Let's see how it happens. There has been a separateness of issue with respect to India on the issue of Ukraine. All the three countries, Japan, Australia and the US, they openly condemned Russia. India hasn't done so. Let's hope it does not play against it. It will not. Reinvigorate Europe and NATO. Now, first of all, NATO is something that the many countries of Europe and also US wants to reinvigorate, want to breathe a life back into. So we will have to see if that has much more priority for the Biden administration. There is a threat of China, although China is not openly named, but China has stated Quad to be Asian NATO and anti-China alliance. So let's see, India has to be the only country with a long, hot land border with China, and that is the problem here. Because India has to keep a bilateral touch to the entire thing and not just keep it a multi-forum talk and rhetoric. Non-security initiatives have been taken other than terrorism and you can say cyber security. But if we talk about an alliance which is military in nature, it is not so. Quad is not so. So first of all, because Indo-Pacific Economic Framework has been launched, which we have covered a lot in the new series with a lot of depth, you can go and watch that. So India must not lose bilateral road with China, because diplomacy and independent thought process India has always maintained, that should be maintained forward as well. Actuality of aspirations, as you can see, this particular framework, this particular summit has given us so many aspirations. Let's see which country can do what with respect to actualizing it. ASEAN's role could be more, made much more comprehensive with respect to Quad, because Quad needs ASEAN as well. So that being said, let's move on to our mains based question. Okay, the question says how effective Quad might prove for the current decade when Europe is witnessing geopolitical changes. You have to write it in 250 words. That's it for today. Tomorrow we shall meet again with another segment. Until then, stay updated and thank you so much for watching.